going to continue looking at solving word problems and how to think them through and just sort of having some strategies so that they're not so frustrating because, you know, sometimes when people know that we're working on word problems, they have these really negative reactions. So we're working on our reactions. Don't say, ugh. Don't say, I can't do this. You might feel the same way about fractions and decimals too. You might think like, I hate fractions and I'm no good at decimals, but this is the type of negative thinking that we want to stop. So stop this. It's going to make it more difficult for you to complete the math. So instead, you know, when you encounter a word problem that includes fractions or decimals, you want to use the same steps that we talked about before. You want to ask, what's the question? What am I being asked to do? You want to ask yourself, what are the facts that the problem is giving me? You want to ask yourself, what operation am I going to use? Am I going to add, subtract, multiply, divide? And then, you know, with this information, can I solve the problem? And then once you have an answer, does this answer make sense? Okay. So let's look at an example here. Joe weighs 174 and an eighth pounds. Charles weighs 179 and a half pounds. Charles weighs how much more than Joe? And we are going to ask ourselves these questions and we're not going to react, okay? What's the question? What are my facts? What will my operation be? Then I'm going to solve, find an answer, and see, does this answer make sense? Okay, so here we go. What's the question? What they're really asking me is how much more does Charles weigh, right? So that I could restate that by saying, what's the difference between their weights? That's the question that I'm being asked. What are the facts they tell me? Well, they tell me Charles is 179 and a half pounds. Joe's 174 and 1/8 pounds. And what will my operation be? Well, it was good that I restated up here because I used the word difference. Okay, and so difference means subtraction. So I know that I can solve this very easily. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to write out my problem here, my information. I just want to see my facts again. Charles, 179 and a half. Joe, 174 and 1/8. And then I know I'm going to subtract, and I got to find my common denominator. So let me find that. And then I don't have to do anything to the second one, so I'm just going to subtract here. And there's my answer, 5 3/8 pounds, right? Okay, so does this answer make sense? And I think that it does. 179 minus 174 is 5. And, you know, so then I know from sort of estimating that my answer makes sense. So see, that's not too bad. And I have this great quote that I always think about when I get to word problems. There's nothing good or bad, only thinking makes it so. So there's no good or bad word problem. It's just your thought process that makes the word problem good or bad. So you just need these steps, and they'll help you to keep an open mind. Let's look at another example here, okay? Mary Green is making 30 ribbons to sell in her gift shop. Each ribbon is 3/4 yards long. How many yards of ribbon does she need? Okay, so what's my question, right? Straight out of the problem, my question is, how many yards of ribbon does she need, right? What are the facts they tell me? Well, they tell me she needs 30 ribbons and that each is 3/4 of a yard long. What is my operation? Well, this one's kind of tricky. I am not sure, but I think it's either multiplication or division. So I choose division. Okay, so now we're going to solve. Here we go. So, okay, I'm solving my problem here. 30 ribbons, and they're 3/4 yards long. So I'm going to do 30 over 1 divided by 3/4. Okay, anything I can cross cancel here? Oh, I forgot a step. I got to flip first, right? Keep, change, flip. Now I can cross cancel. I got so excited there. So I end up with 40 over 1, right? So that is the same as 40 yards. Okay, so I've got this answer now. Does this answer make sense? Does it seem weird to you that 30 ribbons at less than a yard long will equal a number larger than 30? It feels like to me my answer should be smaller than 30, right? Like if I had 30 ribbons and they were each 3/4 long and I laid them end to end, I would have less than 30 yards. So it's weird that my answer is 40 yards. Okay, so I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to go back. I'm going to reread my problem, go back to question 3, and now I'm going to pick multiplication. Because remember, when I was going through it the first time, I was kind of saying to myself, well, it could be multiplication, it could be division. So I picked division. That doesn't seem right. Now I'm going to pick multiplication, and I'm going to go to step 4 and solve again. Okay, so here I'm going to erase all of this work, because that's a totally okay thing to do, right? We're going to come back here. I'm going to change my sign, and I'm going to fix that 4 there because I kind of erased him. Okay, anything I can cross cancel? Yep, there is. So now I'm going to come over here because I don't know what 15 times 3 is off the top of my head. So I'm going to figure that out here. Oh, 45 over 2, right? Okay, and that's an improper fraction, right? My bigger number up top, so I'm going to convert it into a mixed number. Oh, I ran off the screen here. Hold on. So now I know that she's going to need 22.5 yards. Does this answer make sense? And I think in this case, yes, it does. It is a number smaller than 30, so it is an answer that makes sense. Phew, we solved the problem. So remember, when you're solving word problems, you don't want to react right away. Don't shut your brain down with those negative thoughts of like, I can't do this, I hate word problems. No, we are not reacting like that. We are going to ask ourselves the questions. Those 5 questions we're going to work through because that's the strategy that we need to solve the problems. We're going to keep on breathing and go for it, okay? Because we know how to solve word problems.